Yeah, I guess the indies are a little bit odd these days. Oh, hi, everybody.
Mm.
Welcome to this week's episode of the WrestleWatch Podcast. You're only home for free agents talking the world of professional wrestling. I am Ryan here in Baltimore, and just to prove it, for this is great for the audio listeners. Here's my Baltimore Tree Trust camper mug. Doug is joining us. Doug from Chicago, the land of baking, it seems.
Yes, I am making some orange rolls. I don't know if I have anything within arm's reach that's Chicago. Let me see.
I feel like that's
Nah,
illegal for you not to have something with the
yeah.
with the star on it. Come on.
I have I went to White Castle last night. I have a White
Yep,
Castle
that's
cup.
that's there it is. Yep.
I
Your
mean,
all elite feast.
yes. Ooh, I know what is that available now? I should go see what that
I
is.
think it's been available.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like I'm really curious to see what they're actually throwing in those things.
Um, Food.
No, I think it's supposed to be like there's supposed to be like a piece of merch or something in it.
I
I
don't know.
thought.
I can't remember.
Yeah, you know what? I saw it in like September when they announced it, and I was like, it's like coming in October, and then I was like, oh, I will look into that, and I just completely forgot about it until you mentioned it just a second ago.
I'm nothing if not a consummate professional. Um, Yeah, so this week's episode of WrestleWatch, we're going to be talking about a number of topics. We have the Rascalz TNA contracts are coming up. Are they going to head somewhere else, or is Wesley going to be rejoining them? We have Clark Connors mentioning that he might be going to America soon. Tanahashi's final opponent was finally announced. Shayna Baszler, what's up with her? What's going on with that? But first, I want to get into a fun one, a hot one, fresh off the presses last night, which is the Nixon Newell Miranda Alize situation.
Yeah,
Did you watch Collision last
I,
night, Doug?
I did not. I was working last night,
Okay.
so I got home probably right around it was a little after it was ending.
Well, I will let you know of something that you might have been anticipating as a match that did not happen, which was Ty J was scheduled for. This has been like for weeks. We've kind of known, maybe for 2 weeks now. We knew that this match was going to be happening. It was going to be Ty J versus Nixon Newell and Miranda Alize. That match did not happen last night. Instead, we got Maya World and Heian, or Heian,
Hi on.
Heian. Uh, Rhymes with Ryan.
Yes.
We got them teaming up, and the match was only 2 minutes long. It was a little squashy boy, but those two got high praise from in the back. Why did they get high praise from the back, Doug? Why did these two people in a 2 minute squash get high praise?
Well, they came in last minute
Mhm.
because Tegan Knox and Miranda Alize refused to job again.
Yes.
And because they have they feel that that is a bad booking decision. And on top of that, I know I can't speak to Maya World as much. I mean, I've enjoyed a little bit I've seen from her because she was like one of the dark regulars. Um, but Hyon I've seen for a long time, and she's solid.
Yeah, they've both been on the Texas indie scene for quite some time, I feel like.
Hmm.
And I think that both of them are also being booked by Athena for Metroplex, so people in AEW do like them.
Yeah, I can understand why.
The power brokers of AEW like them, I suppose, is
Mhm.
one way of looking at it too, with Athena. How did it happen that this match that was announced or believed to be happening didn't happen? Well, we have some reporting from both Fightful Select and from PW Insider. PW Insider reported that the duo refused to lose to Anna Jay and Ty Conti in what would have been their second AEW appearance. They also were upset about the budgeted time for the match. Mind you, that last night's collision was a live collision, which meant that they had hard outs. They couldn't just film a match and then cut it up in the editing room. It said that they didn't expect to win the match, but they expected more time. They were told the times were set as is. Then they left the building, and Hyon and Maya World were there. They were thanked for their professionalism, and people that were in AEW said they were shocked by the situation. But it seems like it's actually helping those two possibly get signed by AEW, which I think would be two quality bookings for AEW. The wrench in all this is, why is it that we knew that this match was happening, and then it didn't happen, even though you would expect, I think that you would expect that if Ty J, who are in this tag tournament, the first inaugural women's tag tournament, and they're kind of being billed as the inaugural women's tag team as well, you would expect that if you're getting booked to face them in a match on AEW programming, that you would be losing that match, right?
Yes.
So why did they not expect to lose this match?
Well, as you just said, they said they expected to lose, but they wanted more time, allegedly.
Yes, that's what the reporting is as well. But they also intermediary, they asked to and accepted a booking in between this match and the other ones that had them lose to Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. Okay, so this was on Wednesday, I think it was, or it might have been last week. They were up against Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. And the thing with that match was that this is the reporting. They respect them. They were okay with losing to them. This is the rumor going around, is that they look at Shafir as a shooter that is good for their booking if they lose to Marina Shafir.
Yeah, so it's I'm going to do business with them because I like them, but I'm not going to do business with them because I don't respect them.
Yeah.
This is not unlike anything we've seen in the business ever before. We've never seen anything like this. This is so unique. It's not like anything that's happened. It's not like Wrestling 101 for the past 40 years. This is very common. She's doing the, they ain't gonna work for me, brother thing. And I say she, but I mean both of them, obviously. And here's the situation for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is perhaps a bit of a wake-up call for people who maybe don't realize that this is a different world right now in professional wrestling.
Yes.
We just saw DPW go under. They said they went on an extended hiatus is what the wording they use. But, generally that means that they're done for the foreseeable future. I mean, PWG is currently on an extended hiatus and they've been on it for years. I mean, if you asked me right now, like who the top promotions are, I'd probably say like Prestige, I suppose.
But they're going under.
And they're going under.
Or closing up. Yeah.
So it's like the indies are just not in a good space. And because of that, it's very difficult to get bookings. And it was reported, not that long ago that Tegan Knox was struggling to get bookings. Or just wasn't getting a lot of bookings upon her release. And then it comes down to the point that your options are either in terms of like a major league promotion where you could actually get a contract, or AEW, or essentially companies that are aligned with WWE, being WWE and TNA, AAA if you want to go into Mexico. And then you also have like the MLWs and the NWAs, but those are essentially just like giant indies that have like more broadcast potential.
Yeah.
So they're not offering contracts. So in this situation, it's like there are so many people who are clamoring to be in their position.
Yes.
And to think that you had the leverage to pull this off is a little short-sighted when you already were fired from the other company for twice, I believe. You were fired once, brought back, and then fired again. So, and then you do this with the other major company. It's like, where is your options now? You can go to Japan, I suppose, if you want to do that. But at this was not a strong long-term move when the indie scene is just not what it is. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's really bad. This is not a good thing. The wrestling scene in general is not in a good place, and it's been getting progressively worse because we're also seeing, a softening of of ticket sales on all companies in America. It's getting rough. So the industry is really, really being held up by these TV rights that they're getting from these companies. So, the AEW and WWE and potentially TNA. We keep hearing about this potential TV deal that just isn't coming, but that is what is essentially keeping these companies afloat.
So yeah, with regards to Tegan Knox and Miranda Alize, I know that or Nixon Newell, Nixon had mentioned that she had been finding difficulty finding bookings on the indies. I'm going to suggest something with that, and it's a little bit of a synthesis considering what happened last night. I think it's definitely possible that this has happened before. Something like this. I think that's possible that I think that Nixon Newell has name value, even if the name Nixon Newell doesn't. Her being former WWE star Tegan Knox has name value enough to get booked on indies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is an attraction on the current indie scene is somebody like that. I don't know if an indie wants to book her as a tag team. If they're trying to bring in Nixon Newell, they're looking at her as being the attraction, and they probably want her to wrestle one of their locals. And if they're going to then possibly ask, hey, can you get Miranda on this book too? Well, now it's not I'm booking Nixon Newell. Now it's I'm booking Nixon Newell and her girlfriend, who I don't really want to book, but okay, but now you're going to have to pay more money to get Nixon Newell, essentially. Yeah. And so I think that might be kind of what the situation is that's happening, just because of what's happened last night, where it feels like that they found losing to be beneath them, but then also that they're really trying to push them. They themselves are trying to push them as a tag team.
I think that's an accurate assessment of what potentially we're looking at here. And I think that's the other thing to keep in mind. Yes, they do have value as former WWE talent, but I think that value has certainly been diminished by the fact that we've had several people who've tried to pull this or pull this Big Brother stuff from WWE, and it just doesn't work, and it backfires. And the fans kind of reject it because they feel that they're not being humble enough.
Yeah.
And I think this, and now that whenever they do that, that doesn't earn you a lot of goodwill.
No.
So if she's thinking that she's going to earn, a lot of fan support from this, she's probably not. She's the only people she might are going to maybe be from people who just are unhappy with, don't like AEW for one reason or another, so they'll just support it for that way. But these are people who aren't going to be going out of their way to watch indies.
Yeah, and the as TC in the chat is asking, with DPW dying, I'd like to ask the question, what indies?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why this is happening right now with all the indies. Like, there's a bunch of different indies that are all like, yeah, we're going to close up shop. Them and Prestige. It's like, I don't understand what's happening. But if I was a team that's trying to establish myself as a tag team outside of AEW, outside of WWE right now, I would not be refusing work.
No. And here's the thing. When you look, I mean, probably the best example of how to do this was Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Because when he left, he had two places he could, two paths essentially. And this is kind of the two paths that are chosen by every single person who leaves WWE. It's not so much a path now because one of the paths doesn't really exist. Actually, neither path really exists anymore. But at the time, you could either go to those Northwest indie promotions that will just book you for like $1,000, a couple $1,000, like the Northeast Wrestling, the places that Carlito used to work a lot and stuff like that. There's those. They're not really like the indies. They're just sort of like, hey, do meet and greets and stuff like that kind of situation.
Yeah.
The places Ryback would have got booked. All right, you can go that route, or you could take less money and grind on what were like called the boutique indies, the indie indies, the super indies at the time,
Yeah.
where you wouldn't get a lot of pay. Some of them you may not even get paid, but you're going to get noticed, you're going to get recognition because these are the places people pay attention to.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the path that you would go, and you would have to grind that out. Neither one is available now, but it sounds like she wants to have respect and get paid and do well with the Northeast Indies that don't really exist. Like nobody is paying that money for you to be booked just because you were in WWE. It's just that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at this from the perspective of like most generously of somebody that's goal is to go back to WWE. Okay? Like let's just, accept,
Let's assume that's what it is, because
but yeah, and let's also like accept that, for this person that is their pinnacle, so that is what they want, and it's valid enough that that's what you want. If you want to get back into WWE and have them respect you in how they book you, let's look at the people that have gone back to WWE, right?
Mhm.
So you have Cody Rhodes. He went off to ROH and to Japan, and he, made enough of a name for himself independently of WWE, helped found AEW, establish himself there as a big billable name, somebody that you could put on a marquee, and then went back to WWE, and they booked him like that immediately, right? Look at Drew McIntyre. Goes off, he leaves WWE, goes to TNA, proves himself, comes back, is booked like somebody that proved himself, right? He wins a Royal Rumble, he headlines WrestleMania, which, that Mania is unfortunate, the circumstances of it, but like he did those things, right?
He's another great example, absolutely.
I would say Bobby Lashley goes off, does TNA and does MMA, comes back, people respect him still, right?
Yeah.
You look at the people recently who have not done that.
Yeah.
Look at Miro Rusev, right? Like he goes off to AEW after getting fired from WWE, refuses to take losses even to people of note, right?
Yep.
Like he's difficult to work with even the top talent. Was his TNT run great? Yes. However, that's because he didn't have to lose, and he had a very interesting character. But then the moment where it became, okay, well, this TNT thing went really well, and the only belt above this right now is the world title, so that means that now you're going to have to, work with people and sometimes lose matches. But, like, we're bought in. We've given you this long runway of you are the TNT champion that is an undefeated, strong character that, the crowd loves you, and they love you for Goldberging, right?
Right.
So to go from that, and the crowd is bought in, and AEW is very hot, and then just say, no, I don't want to lose to people, and then he pretty much just disappears from AEW after his TNT run, right? Goes back to WWE. What do they do with him? Have him lose.
Yeah. And supposedly, we're not hearing any complaints out of him.
No, because he thinks that it's worth it. But in reality, I think it's that he's burnt the bridge with places otherwise that could be used to build himself up, to allow WWE to look at him not as somebody that they can just, screw around with, right? Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, they proved themselves outside WWE as, you can't screw around with us because we can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, lately, Drew's been losing a lot more and hasn't been booked the best. But, he had that phase where he was being pushed very well around 2019 to 2021. Cody has never been not booked well in WWE since he returned. I think like there were some lulls in the gap year between the two manias with Roman, but like that's because they didn't know what they were doing in between the two manias with the Roman booking for him. And then the only person that's burnt the AEW bridge, TC says in chat, that's got a good WWE run is Punk, but Punk also was trying to play ball in AEW in his Collision run, right? Even if
Allegedly,
well,
like I mean,
he lost to Ricky in the Owen final. He pushed. He allowed Ricky to go over him. He was very happy to do trios matches and lose in trios matches. Which like yeah, sure, it's a trios match. You lost in trios match, but like he was playing ball and he was trying. Even if say what you want about like the the division of the roster and you're banned from Collision, all those kinds of things. The people that he had in Collision, he was very vocal in support of, and he wanted to get other people over. So even if, and I don't even know, like TK said, he hasn't burnt the bridge. Like he said that since then. So I think that Punk is like somebody that like they know. I think WWE knows that deep in their heart, if he does leave, like, and it's not, if it's acrimonious and he leaves, that yeah, he could end up in another promotion again.
sure.
How likely is that? I don't know, but like he's the kind of name that he's shown that he can do it without WWE. Whereas these people that we're talking about, like the Nixon Newell situation, they need to prove that before they come, crawling back to WWE and expecting them to, push them better.
And then I don't know that that's even going to work in this environment because as we kind of see it with Shayna right now. It's like I would argue Shayna Baszler's above Nixon Newell.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that as the graphic now. Shayna Baszler, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah, because when you take a look at where Shayna is, she's someone who is also cut. However, she never really left in the sense because she's been gone. She'll take up indie bookings here and there because she's technically not employed with WWE, but she's also making WWE appearances.
Well,
she's allegedly been a coach
for
several.
Yeah, let's look at the history on this. Shayna appeared, so she'd been doing coaching during the summer for WWE once or twice. She appeared on the NXT Homecoming show that they did in September, but she's made no appearances for WWE since then, despite rumors of potentially becoming a coach there. She then this last month appeared on Prestige versus Dani Luna, and at Boca Raton Championship Wrestling on November 2nd, she defeated Lacey Lane for the vacant women's title. That title was formerly Ash by Elegance holding it, who had to vacate it. So that's the groundwork there regarding Shayna Baszler.
Yeah. And I don't know that she's necessarily going to do anything other than this. I mean, maybe she's perfectly content where she's at.
Mm-hmm.
Would she rather? I mean, I definitely get the impression that if she was going to get signed by WWE again, she would happily take the contract.
Uh-huh.
But based off of where we're at, I mean, that might happen, to be completely honest, because once again, this seems to be similar to what AEW has done for the longest time, where they have a lot of people that they use regularly, even on their main TV, that they don't have under contract.
Yeah.
They'll just kind of use them on a per date basis. Some of them might have what we used to call those tier 0 deals. I don't know if those still technically exist. They probably do in some capacity, where they would have they were essentially per date deals, but they had like the right of first refusal tied into them for AEW. So maybe she's got something like that,
Mm-hmm.
where she isn't technically signed to AEW, but she has like some type of deal where, hey, you're not an employee with us, but if someone else comes calling, you come to us first, and we can because she was definitely one that I said that I thought AEW should consider at least kicking the tires on, because I think she has such a unique style and a unique look. I think that it would make sense to maybe even do something with her and Shafir. Like there was a lot that AEW could do with Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
So at this time though, she's not on the chart.
Yeah, she is.
I don't is she on, where's she at? Let me go to the chart. I gotta look. For some reason
she was previously impossible.
Okay. So in terms of her actually moving around, I feel like if she's gonna go anywhere, she's gonna go back to AEW. Well, I mean, she's not on it now, though, is she?
You talking about Shayna Baszler?
Yes.
So back to WWE, and she's impossible on the chart.
Oh, she is. Why? I'm like staring at this thing over and over again. I'm missing her. Okay, yeah. I think that I actually voted to kind of move her down.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is going to become the new norm. I don't think that she's an exception. We're going to see more and more talent that are just occasionally working, on certain dates and get brought in on a date by date basis. And for that reason, I really don't think that she's going to get signed again. Maybe she will eventually in some other role, potentially as a coach. But I also kind of think like if they were going to sign her as a coach, maybe they would have done that by now because she's been gone for 6 months?
Yeah.
So I think that if they're not going to sign Shayna Baszler, I don't think they're bringing back Tegan Knox or Nixon Newell, and then there's just less jobs, less major league jobs for people than there have probably ever been in this industry. If I had to really think about it, like it might be the smallest the industry has been in terms of employment.
Well, speaking of some people that are looking for employment, possibly, or maybe not, is the Rascalz. Their TNA contracts are set to expire at the end of this year. Myron Reed's contract actually even already expired in August, and he has been appearing freelance for TNA since then. Former member Wesley, previously known as Desmond Xavier, and also in the future going to be called Desmond Xavier. He's going to be taking some indie bookings coming up under that name. He's currently on our tracker as a possible jump. He was released by WWE last month due to being with NXT. His contract is now up with WWE, and he's on indie bookings for this month. What do we think is happening with the Rascalz? Do you think that maybe Desmond Xavier hooks back up with them? Maybe they stay in TNA? What do you think is happening with them?
I think when Desmond Xavier probably should hook back up with them. I think this is probably not good news, but I would say that they potentially are the biggest act on the indies right now.
They could be, yeah.
Which I think says more about the current state of the American, and I'll probably include the UK indies in this. They're just not really hot right now. They're collapsing. We see one promotion folding after another, it seems lately. They just can't keep their doors open. And I don't think the Rascalz were ever like a hot commodity. I think they're good. They're good. They're very talented. But, I never considered them indie draws. Like, I don't think people are buying tickets to an indie show just because the Rascalz are on it. But now when I think about it, it's like if anyone was going to be like, oh, I need to go to this indie show because so-and-so is on it, the Rascalz might be they might be the top act on the US indies right now.
I mean, I would say that, like, if I were to look at a local indies bill, right? And like, oh yeah, they have a show this weekend. Who's on the card? If the Rascalz are on the card, I'm like, okay, cool, that's going to be a good match.
Yeah.
So that might actually make me go out to see it. As long as there are not, like, Patrick Clark Velveteen Dream on the card. And it's not the promotion that's run by James Ellsworth. Those things accepted. If the Rascalz are on the card, it would be a draw for me, at least. And I'm not, like, always going out to the indies, So I think that there are a set of people that might be draw worthy for. Especially if it is a fully reconstituted Rascalz with Wesley, Desmond, Xavier on the card as well. Because then you can also throw that former WWE on the graphic.
You could, and they do like to do. Indies like to do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't know how much that actually matters.
Yeah.
Especially with the Rascalz. But it's interesting because, they also might just, end up all in TNA and still under the WWE banner.
Yeah.
Which also would make sense. And I tend to think that might be the most likely option.
Yeah, I think that the most likely to me is them just ending back up in TNA and staying with their contract there. I don't know, man. Like, it feels like that there's not a lot of other places for them to go. I mean, I think that they could go to Japan and be very over in Japan.
Yeah, potentially.
But that is them making a big choice.
Well, and then if they do go to Japan, they're not exactly lighting everything on fire either. We're seeing talent, leaving Japan even and coming to America in terms of Western talent. We have like Clark Connors, for example.
Yeah, let's chat about that too. So Clark Connors, in a promo recently, at a New Japan event, said that he was going to be going back to America. I don't know if it is a permanent going back to America or just like he is American. And he's going back to America for a little bit, maybe a visa thing, who knows. But yeah,
I mean, maybe he's gonna be in the C2.
Maybe. But yeah, I could see with him the interesting thing as you're referencing about the oddities of Japan right now is like you have Noah taking a bunch of NXT tag team talent and using them. And then New Japan kind of had this question of foreign talent if they're going to stick around. And I think that like the thing is for New Japan that they should be okay with foreign talent leaving. They should be okay with it. Like it's just a thing that's going to happen and like you just book around it.
And I figured they would have known, they should know that by now that, you sign someone from America, they're not going to be staying there long term. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest example, the biggest exception seems to be Zack Sabre Jr., who is perfectly content just having his entire career in Japan at this point.
And not American also.
Also not an American, true. That's also true.
El Desperado, my favorite American wrestler from Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're also going to throw Kenny Omega in there. American, not American.
Yeah, it's Winnipeg. I just think that's like, and that kind of transitions a little bit into chatting about the retirement match for Hiroshi Tanahashi, where the match is now set for Okada to be his final opponent. You had people trying to push a rumor out there that Tony Khan said no to Shinsuke Nakamura. And actual reporters. So this is being pushed primarily by, I would say there's 3 areas where this rumor is being pushed by. You have WWE stan accounts who do not care at all about this match. They don't care about.
They're never going to watch it. If Shinsuke Nakamura was in it, they're not watching it.
But they love to talk about it because it's been rumored for a little bit now that they were thinking about Shinsuke, but the phrasing, of course, was they thought it was a pipe dream and they were going to book him, so they weren't really focused on him. Then you have the people that have been called the Nujadeen. Have you heard this term?
I think so.
The Nujadeen are the people that think that New Japan...
That Tony Khan is evil and
Tony Khan is evil and destroying Japan.
Yeah.
And that he is the reason why New Japan is no longer strong, glorious nation. And if we can go back, we just have to get rid of all the Gaijin also.
Yes.
So it's bad when any Gaijin leaves New Japan. It's obvious because Tony Khan's evil that he stole them, but also we don't want any Gaijin in New Japan. Also, these people are all like mostly just Americans and Europeans that are this kind of person. It's not like actual Japanese people.
Of course.
Of course. Just like the worst kind of Joshi fan.
Yeah.
And then we have the third category of people, which is it's the I believe that this rumor is being pushed heavily by the Super J Cast, who are also the people that were pushing the Jon Moxley is upset and is looking to leave AEW thing last year. You remember that one or 2 years ago? Yeah, it was last year.
Vaguely.
Yeah, when Jon Moxley won the IWGP off of Naito, it was being pushed that he was being given the IWGP as a make good to make him not sad about AEW. But then also they were saying that Tony Khan was ruining the booking because why is Rocky Romero getting a challenge for the IWGP? The match was a eliminator. It was a tendership match. It was not a defense. But why is Rocky Romero getting a challenge?
Why is he getting a non-title match?
Yeah, this should be.
Why is he in the ring with him? He doesn't deserve.
Why is he getting this non-title match? It should be a non-title match.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then of course, then the counter was, why isn't Jon Moxley defending the title though?
Yeah. So.
But yeah. These are the kinds of people that are pushing this Shinsuke conspiracy theory, and then the people that are countering it are all the reporters. Every reporter is like, no, that's not what happened. Tony Khan didn't say no to Shinsuke. It's just that like they asked WWE, they said no, it's not happening.
So first off, shout out to Damon McDonald on the Super J Cast, friend of the show, or at least friend of me, kind of. I don't know if you know this.
I'm sorry to put him on blast.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if you know about. I guess it had been 8 years ago. Me and him put together a meet and greet in Long Beach, California, after the Long Beach New Japan shows.
People got to meet and greet you?
Well, we got to hang. We just like, hey, let's all like meet at this bar after the show and just hang. Like, because like at the time I was a Reddit mod, and at the time he was obviously on the show, so it's like we were just like, yeah, let's just put something together, and we put it out there, and we had like 100 people show up at this bar, and including several wrestlers. We had like Josh Barnett show up. Kevin Kelly was there.
Oh wow!
Shayna Baszler showed up and hung out with us. So because I this was after she had done her AMA, so I had talked to her for a bit after the show. When I saw her in the crowd, I was like, "Hey, what's going on, Shayna? We talked before." So her and Jessamine Duke came out and drank with us as well.
That's nice.
So it was a good time. But looking at all this though, so let's cycle back to this. So now the match is announced that it's going to be Okada and Tanahashi.
Yes. Okada was there in person even for this announcement. They did the coin drop, and the crowd went wild twice. He got 2 pops, 1 entrance, 2 pops.
I'll say this. They took their time in making this announcement. Is it because they were just waiting till we got to, November? Because obviously it doesn't make sense to announce it super early. Yeah. And this is just when they were going to make the announcement? Or did they really kind of hold out because they were going to see if they could do something else?
I think that when the phrasing was happening from Tanahashi as Mr. President Tanahashi about negotiations were being had about it, I think that is very could somebody look at that and say, oh wait, no, it's because of Shinsuke. They're negotiating Shinsuke, right? They're talking to WWE. They're game for it. AEW, now they have to negotiate with Tony Khan to let Shinsuke wrestle. Which, as we've discussed on the podcast before, I think that if it's Shinsuke, AEW would let it happen. And because it's Tanahashi's last name. So
for the record, I agree. So if they were able to get New Japan and WWE were able to come to terms, and Shinsuke could do the match, I don't think AEW would stand in the way. I agree.
I think that it's possible that the negotiation on that side, if it was Nakamura, this is still not getting to what I think is actually happening. But if it was Nakamura, I don't. Also, TC in the chat says, I think Shinsuke was their first choice. I don't think that's the case. I think he was a name that was thrown out there in the pool of names as possible last match people. They were allegedly down to 3 names of this past week, and Shinsuke was not on the 3 names. But yeah, so I think that in that scenario, the negotiation might have been, well, there's a lot of AEW people on this show. WWE, are you comfortable with that? Are you comfortable with our champion being a co-signed AEW wrestler? Do we have to make Tanahashi show up on WWE? Things like that.
Yeah.
Like those are the negotiation things that have to happen to get Shinsuke to be on this New Japan show. Like the WWE is gonna look for a reach around.
Well, and not only that, what is WWE gonna get out of this?
Nothing, unless they get Tanahashi to show up on WWE programming.
Does that help them though?
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Because here's the thing. All that, I'll tell you why I don't think this helps them. Because first of all, the guy's retiring. It might get some eyeballs over to WWE. That's the one thing. Like some people maybe aren't going to otherwise watch WWE, but it's also talking up New Japan, which is an AEW partner.
Yeah, you're missing the next step from that. Is can we put a wedge?
And then a wedge between AEW and New Japan?
Yeah. So, I think that, the only way that WWE would be looking at Shinsuke doing New Japan and that being a positive is if they could get a wedge between AEW and New Japan, because that is the way that think about all the counter program stuff this year with WWE. The way that they're running their business model as it comes to AEW right now is, screw it. We're going to just say, no, throw out our own plans and just do things to screw with AEW.
And then I wonder then how does the Noah relationship work? Well, they have an issue. They probably wouldn't care.
Yeah, they wouldn't care. No. So this is where I think the actuality of the negotiations is let's presume that Okada was the number 1 choice.
Yes.
Okay. So what would they have to negotiate if Okada was their choice?
Not much. I mean, they would have to negotiate probably a financial figure, which is probably not a big deal because I'm willing to bet that, with AEW being a partner promotion, I'm sure that negotiation was not difficult.
Yeah.
They would have to negotiate who wins, which, considering this is a retirement match, I assume that Tanahashi's losing.
Although, consider the other main event. Right? So there's the 2 main events, essentially, for this show. Both have currently contracted AEW stars.
Yeah.
So if one wins one of those matches, the other one has to lose the other match.
Well,
probably, right?
I mean, I would think that Takeshita losing would make sense.
Well, yeah, but then now that's a negotiation point.
Yeah.
And that's a Gedo conversation that Gedo has to have with Tanahashi and Takeshita and Yota Tsuji of hey, so we won Okada, but Okada probably will have to win this match, and so if we do that, then we're gonna have Takeshita lose this match, and then it spirals into a booking thing for them, right, on their side. So there's negotiations and that are happening internal in New Japan, possibly. Also, as you were saying about the pay, Okada has not appeared in New Japan since leaving, right?
He has not.
Usually for Wrestle Kingdom, they have a tour, right? The Road to Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, they have a little one.
Yeah, a little one. And then they have the post tour, which is the New Year's Dash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually the big names on the Wrestle Kingdom card are on New Year's Dash, right? It's a little denouement,
Yeah, a little surprise.
Dessert, a little dessert, something. A little surprise dessert thing. Danielson did New Year's Dash. Omega did New Year's Dash. It is.
Yeah, we had Okada and Kenny Omega teaming on New Year's Dash that one year.
Yeah. So, maybe part of it is, hey, Okada, you've never put over any of the young guys.
It could. And that's the other thing with this. It's just like,
And
who are you gonna put over, first of all?
yeah. Oh, and then this TC is also adding this. Two contracted AEW stars that are currently feuding are the two guys in your two big matches. So you have to also that's the part where people might be like, oh, this is TK putting his fingers in the thing. But it's like, no, I mean, like, this is the one of the two biggest shows of the year for Okada Takeshita, right? It
Yes.
is, you could have them face each other at Wrestle Kingdom, or you can have them face each other at All In. You could do both next year also, right? You could have it that this is like one of the, like, another story beat for the two of them, and then they go and they do their All In match, and then next year they do a match at Tokyo Dome. You know, you have stuff that you can work on with this that benefits both New Japan and AEW.
You know what I would do?
Go for it.
New Year's Dash. You just do a tag match.
Oh,
Uh, Okada's going to be on one side. I don't even care who else is in on his team. They could do a three. You could do a 3-on-3 or 4-on-4. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
You have Okada on one side, and the other side, you have the person who's going to just dominate him in this tag match. And eventually, I don't know if he needs to necessarily pin him, but he needs to like take him out and make it clear that this guy just completely wiped the floor with him. You know who I'm talking about?
Yota Tsuji?
Aaron Wolf.
Aaron Wolf. Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I think that, like, if they did like a new blood, old blood kind of a thing, or outsiders, insiders kind of a thing, you know, like you have like Yota Tsuji, Aaron Wolf, I know, like Bolton Oleg in a trios match against Okada, Takeshita, and I don't know who else off the top of my head.
But I mean, I think, and that's the thing, then you could set up, that could be a long-term thing in your head where it's like, hey, at some point down the road, we could do Okada versus Aaron Wolf.
Yeah. I think, and I think if the direction is that Yota Tsuji is beating Takeshita, I think that they should also be setting up Yota Tsuji versus Okada down the road.
Yes.
Because like that is as you could do that Dominion, you know, and that is
and
like
and that would be one where Okada could lose.
Yeah, exactly. You do it like at Dominion. You like say like this is the match that's going to make Yota Tsuji.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and then because then he's also passing on the fact that he's the guy who beat Tanahashi.
You could do it at New Beginning in America.
Would you do it at New Beginning in America? I guess you could do it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a match that would sell the building because it's not selling right now.
No. What's it set up for?
A couple thousand. Off the top of my head, I can look it up right now.
Yeah. I wonder if they're even doing Windy City Riot this year.
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are either. It's a shame. I mean, it's funny because it sold like the last 2 years they did over 5K.
So, New Beginning is in the Cure Insurance Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. The building maximum capacity of seats is 8,500. Of course, that is behind the stage as well. The last promotion to do a show there was Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor 2023. They sold just under 3,000 tickets. They have sold currently for New Japan 765 tickets.
Yeah, they got a ways to go.
It is over 100 days out.
Yeah, they got some time to move some tickets there.
Yeah, so I think that like they still have plenty of time to like get something nice with it. Like I think that over 2,000 is likely for that show. But like if they want to get in that range of 3,000 to 5,000 tickets, which I think they could, honestly, I think having an Okada match on that card would definitely push ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you can see Okada every week on AEW, it's like, well, it's Okada in New Japan. I do think that, like, you know, Okada losing the New Japan person is an important thing to get to. So that's what I'm saying is that I think that might have been the negotiations is about, okay, so we're gonna get Okada back for this match. Can we get Okada back for more than just this match? You know, it feels like it's been enough time now that I think New Japan has established pretty well, in my opinion, as an outsider to Japan. I think that they've established who their next gen people are. I think that Yoda is working well as the guy that they're trying to push. Um, I think that Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura are working as a tag team. And that's something that they can build off of in the future. The streets seem to love Aaron Wolf, even though he's never wrestled yet.
Listen, who am I to question the streets?
Exactly. Bolton Oleg is over still. You
Yes.
know, that they have really good young Super Junior kind of guys like Vegeta, that have come out of nowhere, and everybody loves them. So like I think that they have a good base. If they continue to focus on developing talent internally and not getting shiny eyed about gaijins essentially, when the yen is still down.
Yeah.
Um, So those are my thoughts on all those things. What else do we have for this week's episode of WrestleWatch? Oh, you know what's something that's interesting that I wanted to get your thought on?
Sure.
Have you been following at all this AEW National Championship thing?
I mean, I saw that it's happening, and I saw that the NWA is getting kind of upset about it because they feel like they have the true NWA championship.
Yeah.
And then they had the current NWA national champion, cutting a promo on it, which, hey, good for him. That's what he should do.
It's exactly what he should do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the extent of what I've seen.
Yeah, the national championship in NWA was fought in the 80s, I believe, primarily. It was unified with the US title when Jim Crockett kind of took over everything with NWA. So it is technically within the WWE United States Championship today. The national championship that NWA has now is a reactivated belt from the 90s. Of course, this title that AEW is going to be doing is no connection to it. But an interesting thing that was brought up during the announcements of it was Tony Khan saying, "Oh yeah, this belt, I've already had some people from our friends in New Japan Strong asking about if they could book it, and like I'm sure that we would love to have this champion on ROH." And the first contracted defense of the title is actually going to be on ROH Final Battle. So I was interested in, and he mentioned also like, this is about that show up on the Indies. Do you think that this is TK talking or TK with a plan for this belt to be a traveling belt and something for the Indies? And in that way, is this a WID belt?
Perhaps. I mean, I'll say this. I think Tony Khan needs to be smart enough to know that his promotion was essentially held up by the grassroots of the American Indies and Japan. Like all the people he brought in that had name recognition and knew right away, a lot of them, I'd say most of them were indie talents.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have that right now. So if he's thinking the long game, he has to understand that, AEW had at least something to do with the indies kind of dying. And he probably needs to understand that he probably needs that long term, that indie pipeline that he relied on before, because he doesn't really have anything else. So if he's doing this as an attempt, I'm not speculating, if he is doing this as an attempt to kind of add some juice to the indies in America, that's probably not a terrible thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think it's time that we try to. I say this like every year, but I'll say it again. I think it's time we try to rebuild the territory system on a smaller scale. I think that will. I think that could work, because if we stop just like, if instead of just having like these one indies that are just kind of working on their own, or one giant company, we just have like just a region that tries to work together. I think that might work.
Yeah, so I hope that this title is what he's saying it is, which is a traveling belt. So far the people that have been announced for this Casino Gauntlet match for the inaugural championship are Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey. I think that a few of those names are ones that I could see defending this belt at other promotions and indies. I think one or two of those names I cannot. And if Bobby, like I cannot see Bobby Lashley going to House of Glory to defend his national title. You know, I my hope is that it is a legitimate traveling belt, a showcase belt for AEW in partnership with indie promotions. Because I think that is something that could help the health of the indies, is having something like that, a title that, like, a unifying title that travels between territories, essentially, akin to the classical NWA belts, the historic NWA belts, not the historic NWA belts in CMLL. I mean, like, historically the NWA belts, that they, you went from one territory to another. You had the world champion come over to your territory for a little bit, stuff like that. And like, I think somebody like a Hechizero would work for that, or Speedball, somebody like that, as an inaugural champion, to kind of be like, hey, this is somebody that's going to show up on Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and defend this belt. They're going to show up in CMLL and defend this belt. They're going to Hechizero is going to show up on some Mexican indie with this belt. I think that's cool, and it generates interest, and I think that it's something different than the WWE ID Championship.
It's funny because it's also very similar to what WWE was kind of doing with Evolve.
Yes.
Like early on.
The original Evolve.
Yeah, like early on, where like you would. I remember one time I was in Chicago, and they had a WWE Evolve show at Logan Square Auditorium, which is where all the big indies wrestled, and they did. It was Walter at the time, Walter versus Kushida.
Yeah,
and it's just like, it was very cool.
Yeah,
and it's like, it was a very short time that they did that stuff, but it was cool at the time, and I think that something like that could work.
Yeah, and I think that, like, if AEW is smart with it and they allow it to change hands at an indie, and then you just air it. Like, you might not air the entire match, you may air highlights, you air it, like, on your YouTube channel, the match, itself. Like, that will generate buzz about people going to indies to go see this belt, because they're like, wait, it could be changed, it could change hands to this indie. So yeah, I think that, like, the potential of it is interesting and exciting for the health of the indies. As long as it is actually that, and not just, we don't have 4 men's singles titles, so we need a 4th one. I think if that happens, I would be disappointed.
Yes.
And that's about it, I think, for this week's episode of WrestleWatch. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover other than going through our updated free agency tracker?
I think we covered it all.
Okay. So in the certain tier, we have one Joseph Hendry, Joe Hendry, and we also have Adam Priest. In the likely tier, we have Michael Oku and Chris Jericho. They both are likely to be going to a new promotion momentarily, possibly, hopefully soon. Probable, we have Danhausen. He sits alone in the probable tier. Toss-up, we have the British indie star Rio, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Private Party, Sari, Dakota Kai, and Isla Dawn. Impossible, we have Man Like Doris, Wes Lee, and the Rascalz. They're separately on the list currently. Maybe that changes if things change with how maybe they reunify. We have Ninja Mac also in the possible tier. Unlikely, we have Bailey, Bozilla, Miyu Yamashita, Priscilla Kelly, and Shayna Baszler. And down in remote, currently, we have Leon Slater, Saraya, The Miz, Maki Ito, Dragon Lee, Tetsuya Naito, AJ Styles, Lacey Lane, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Gabe Kidd. How do you feel about that tier list? Was there any names that you heard as you came back from Coffeelandia that you wanted to cover on that? Cool. Well, with that, that has been this week's episode of the WrestleWatch Podcast. I am glad for everybody that's been tuning in and chatting with us on today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and your podcaster of choice. If you haven't already done so, leave a like and a comment. It helps the algorithm. With that, I'm Ryan.
I'm Doug.
Hope you have fun with your